Hi everyone, it's Jerry. This is another group of 5 puzzles. In each of them it's white to play, and it's up to you to determine the best continuation. So go ahead, pause the video, see if you can find the best play for white. Okay, the solution to puzzle 1 is to first capture on d7. Rook takes queen is an only move. Knight c7, deflecting the rook away from d8. Rook takes is yet again an only move. And now rook to d8 is checkmate. This is a checkmate in 3 puzzle, and one that can maybe be best found by recognizing this particular pattern, this particular shape, and the bishop and rook converging on the d8 square. The king from the initial position has no legal moves, and so if you can push through in some way, getting a heavy piece to d8, that will be mate. Moving on to the second, white to play. Pause the video, see if you can find the best continuation. Okay, the solution to puzzle 2 is to first capture the rook, and the idea behind this is that white wants to be able to make use of this diagonal. Oftentimes, a bishop on this diagonal in conjunction with the knight on g5 is quite strong, and in many cases will be picking up material, sometimes even leading to some discovered checks. Well, if a queen is allowed to get to that diagonal, let's say after the bishop takes or pawn takes, now comes queen to d5, and in some cases it could lead to a smothered mate. However, in this case, we're not quite having that, but we're certainly having the win of a significant amount of material after rook to h8. So if black is aware of the strength of queen to d5, maybe now they take with the queen. But now comes a checkmate in 4, starting first with rook to h8. King takes is an only move. Queen check, only move. Queen check, only move, checkmate. To be perfectly honest, this puzzle is one that I did not solve correctly. I did get to this point right here, rook to h8, and after the capture, I went in for the not best fork of the queen and king. I went for that, but of course we could be doing much better going forward with checkmate. If there's one main thing I want to highlight, recognize the strength of this knight on the g5 square against an opposing king, the black king on g8. Not only in conjunction with the bishop along this diagonal or a queen, but keep in mind what it is also doing. It's watching over these potential flight squares by that black king. And sure enough, it is highlighted in a great way in this particular puzzle, with this final position, the knight contributing, watching over h7. Moving on to the third, white to play. Pause the video, see if you can find the best play. Okay, the solution to this one is to first give check, king f7, another check, king takes, queen h8. These were all only moves by black. And finally, you grab the queen. White is up material and simply winning. Now, how can you come up with this particular sequence of moves? Well, the first thing you might think about is just grabbing the queen, but seeing a bit further, you'll see that you lose the queen right back. So how can you work around this? Well, how can you, in other words, get out of this pin? Because if it is not present, then you're just going to be winning the black queen for free. Well, how can you move the queen and give check? Well, from this current position, you can't. Well, you can in a few moves, however, after a couple checks. After this first check, there's still not a good queen move to give check. Only after rook to f8 will there be a successful way to get out of the pin and then grab the queen successfully without losing your own. Moving on to the fourth, white to play. Pause the video, see if you can find the best play. Okay, solution to puzzle 4 is bishop h6. Pretty neat move to be seeing. The queen could be captured in a couple ways. Both queens in jeopardy at this point. But the main idea is one that's maybe a bit familiar to you. If you look back on puzzle 1 of this group of 5 puzzles, the bishop and the rook are converging on this f8 square. That little triangle of pieces focusing on the f8 point, capturing the queen. That's going to be mate on f8. Same story. It doesn't defend against f8. The best move is to maybe drop the rook back, but pawn takes queen, black is busted. Moving on to the fifth and final, white to play. Pause the video, see if you can find the best continuation. Okay, the solution to this one is queen to g3. And keep in mind the rook is currently pinned. Maybe quite tempting to do this, and it's a quite strong threat, is it not? If this rook can move, that will turn out to be discovered check and mate. So queen to g3 has this in mind, because if she is taken, rook takes bishop, game over. So what's something more that black can be doing after queen to g3? Queen takes pawn, and now after queen to h3, if the queen is captured, there's maybe some checks that could be thrown in. However, after they have been exhausted, this threat of not only grabbing the bishop but simply delivering checkmate, there's no good solution to it. White at the very least will be picking up the bishop. And one last variation is, after the queen blocks on h3, what do you do after queen to d6, placing the rook back into a pin? Well, now here comes king to h1, simply getting out of the pin, a quiet move, and there is now no successful defense against the rook capturing the bishop or delivering checkmate due to the double check. So that's all for this video. As always, I hope you got something out of it, and be sure to let me know how you did in the comment section below. Take care. Bye.